Stephen Haworth, born January 1976, better known as Nigel McGuinness, is an English professional wrestling commentator and retired professional wrestler. He is currently signed to All Elite Wrestling, where he serves as a color commentator on AEW Collision. He is best known, though, for his work as a wrestler with Ring of Honor and TNA. A foundational star of Ring of Honor, Nigel not only held the Ring of Honor Pure Championship for a record 350 days, but he would also go on to hold the Ring of Honor World Championship in 2007 and hold that title for 545 days. But did you know he was also trained in the ways of magic? Nigel's love of magic and wrestling began when he was young. In high school, one of his friends became an amateur magician. It was this friend who taught Nigel his first tricks for the price of £5. Later, when Nigel was wrestling in Japan, these tricks that Nigel learned would come in useful during sponsor dinners. It is common in Japan for fans to sponsor a wrestler and pay for their meals, transportation, and other expenses, whether it's for the day or throughout their entire stay in Japan. Some of the sponsors do it so they can hang out with their favorite stars. Others do it as a social status thing. Sometimes these sponsor dinners would last for many hours, and Nigel, not being able to speak Japanese, would start to feel very awkward, so he would train himself card tricks to help make these dinners more tolerable. He would also perform these tricks backstage for the other wrestlers while waiting for matches. Impressed with his abilities, often the other wrestlers would encourage him to do a proper show, but that wouldn't happen until much later. It was in 2006 that Ring of Honor was defined by the matches between Nigel and future WWE champion Bryan Danielson. These matches in Ring of Honor are still regarded as some of the best wrestling matches of all time, and one of the most renowned wrestling rivalries in history. A rivalry that was so prominent in the wrestling world at the time that both Danielson and McGuinness entered conversations to join the WWE in 2009.
I've been telling people on this channel to subscribe, and they won't.
Yes?
What can we do about that? Can you help me out? Maybe if you tell them to subscribe, they'll do it.
Threaten them. I'll threaten them for you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. You don't have to do it till you're cursed.
Unfortunately, McGuinness's dream of wrestling for the WWE was shattered when he failed a preliminary medical screening due to an old bicep injury, an injury that Nigel's doctor had previously cleared him for, but now would require a costly surgery for him to be able to join the WWE and live out his childhood dreams. Unable to afford the surgery, Nigel was instead signed by TNA in late 2009 under the name Desmond Wolfe. It was here that Nigel proved himself by working a program with respected wrestling legend Kurt Angle. And it was Nigel's hope that by working hard to establish himself in TNA would eventually lead him back to being signed with the WWE. However, this was not to be, as Nigel was diagnosed with hepatitis B and was forced to stop wrestling immediately. Nigel was crushed and confused as to how he was infected. It was a mystery to him, although he suspects it was due to being in contact with blood during his more violent wrestling matches. But even then, no one else that he wrestled with at the time had tested positive. Making matters even worse was although the infection should have passed in 90 days under normal circumstances, in this case, it did not. 10% of the people who contract hepatitis B are unable to clear the virus on their own. Nigel was one of those 10%. Unable to afford the costly medication, Nigel once again was in an impossible situation. Thankfully, Nigel was able to apply for a clinical trial of an experimental medication, and 6 months later, he was able to clear the infection. And more than that, he was now immune to it. Unfortunately, it was too late. 1 week before Nigel cleared the virus, TNA Wrestling had released him from his contract. After a 14-month break from in-ring competition, Nigel returned, but unfortunately, only to retire. Nigel booked a 2-month-long string of shows and billed it as the Nigel McGuinness Retirement Tour. He documented this in an independent film that he directed and edited called The Last of McGuinness. So in 2011, at the end of the tour, Nigel announced his immediate retirement from the ring at the age of just 34. But Nigel wasn't entirely done with wrestling, nor was wrestling done with him. In late 2011, Nigel took on commentary duties with the now much evolved Ring of Honor, eventually even replacing the controversial Jim Cornette as the main on-screen authority figure in the company. This eventually led him to, in fact, finally signing with the WWE as part of the commentary team for NXT in 2017 until the end of 2022 when he was released. But he quickly found himself picking up commentary duties again in Ring of Honor and eventually even in All Elite Wrestling early on in 2023, and flourishing as part of the main commentary team on the newly created AEW Collision on Saturday nights. Now guys, I'm reading from a script right now, but I'm breaking from the script because I wanted to write something in this script about how great Nigel is on commentary, but like the words escaped me. I just couldn't come up with anything to properly convey what a difference Nigel McGuinness makes on commentary for Collision for any show that he's on. Basically, Nigel McGuinness is like the secret weapon of AEW. Matches with Bryan Danielson, matches with Christian Cage are next level when Nigel McGuinness is on commentary, and I just wanted to put that in here. It needed to be said. This is next level stuff. It's the best thing that he's ever done in his career, and I've seen the wrestling matches. Like, I think they're phenomenal, but Nigel on commentary is an absolute revelation. I think it is what is going to make him, it's what he's eventually going to be known as more than anything else, and I don't think that's a bad thing. He is absolutely an epic talent on commentary. He's my favorite guy on commentary, and that's one of the reasons why I'm making this video. Here's the cool thing though. Not only did he pick up commentary duties in 2023, it was also in 2023 when Nigel finally decided it was time to transition from simple close-up card tricks to full 90-minute stage shows. In an interview with Metro, Nigel said, "Jay Briscoe's passing, unfortunately, really was the impetus to put together the show based on living for the day. You just don't know about tomorrow." With only 3 weeks preparation, Nigel put together a full stage show and debuted it in late 2023. Inspired by Derek DeGallo's film, In and of Itself, and the late great mentalist Max Maven, Nigel's show is filled not only with magic tricks, but storytelling and humor. Part magic show, part spoken word, it really is an experience of heightened human connection and a love letter to professional wrestling. Nigel will usually run these shows when he's doing commentary duties for big pay-per-views usually, or even just normal shows. So if you see Nigel McGuinness's magic show come to your town, make sure you follow him. I'll have the link down below in the description. Make sure you follow him and go see the show. It really is a phenomenal magic show. I'm a big fan of magic, and Nigel does a great job with this. Go out and support him. It's a great thing. It's going to be cool to see him now playing smaller venues, because chances are he is going to make a big career for himself doing this. So check it out and keep digging.
Nigel McGuinness's Magical Night is going all over America and all over the world, and there will be clam diggers like this showing up having the gall to wear this t-shirt. You'd think he'd have an idea, you'd think he'd watch the show, but instead Jeff spelt the American way.
Correct.
That means. What do you think of the show?
Oh my gosh, the show is phenomenal. If you're a fan of Nigel, if you're a fan of magic, if you're a fan of wrestling, and if you're a fan of fun and celebration, you need to go watch this show. It is worth the entirety of your day, your time, everything. Go see the show.
It's worth your life, really. Let's be honest. You'd give your life for it, wouldn't you?
Definitely, in a heartbeat.
100%. So, at McGuinness Nigel, follow me on social media. You can find all the information. Don't be a stranger. Ta-da!